Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Sen versus Rush here on Kulas Ravine. Sen spawning over here at the bottom right hand side of Kulas Ravine as the red Zerg player. Meanwhile, we have Softball Rush spawning over here on the north side of the map as the blue Terran. So this will be Terran versus Zerg here on Kulas Ravine. Should be a pretty interesting matchup. Really excited to see how this game plays out. Sen now moving out with this Overlord and kind of a curious flying path and trying to, I guess, avoid any sort of SCV play that tries to come into this position here. I guess what it's trying to do is really hug along. No, it's not even hugging along these high paths over here. So if it wanted to stay out of sight of any scouting units, that would probably be the way to go, as now we see Rush throwing down a supply depot on this front door, and then we'll continue to scout counterclockwise, looking for the Zerg player. Back over here, Softball Rush continuing to train up more SCVs. Nothing too out of the ordinary, as Sen will quickly be able to get into 13/18 food, trying to train up more and more drones. So Sen will get an economic advantage in just a moment. He already has one small one now, as it does not cost him anything to try to build any of those supply depots. Overlords drone now moving out as well. So a drone making its way over here. We do see a barracks now being thrown down, and an interesting front door placement. So one of the reasons why a Terran can use a front door seal against a Zerg player, especially on Kulas Ravine, where there is no ramp, only a choke point, is that the Marauders have a range of 6 and Roaches have a range of 3. So Marauders can fire behind from these walls and fire and deal damage towards those buildings without getting any damage back, unless those Roaches try to get closer and closer. It's not very vital or very possible for a Terran player to try to wall this off, because if a Terran player does wall this off and not build enough Marauders were able to hit and take down the supply depot and take down the barracks with that range of 6, and those Marauders on the other side are not able to fire back. Back over here, we now see a drone able to spot an SCV, and also back over here, we finally have this Overlord moving into the north position. We do see Sen now getting an early hatchery over here once again. So getting an early hatchery, I believe that was a 16 hatchery over here on this front door. This front door is rather widely exposed. However, there is a lot of brush here. That is, and yeah, the brush looks like it's been changed since the last time I've seen it, or I remembered it. So this brush is a little bit larger. It's not quite the same over here. So that's kind of an odd doodad or fact, something right here, that the brush actually continues right next to that or right next to that Vespene geyser positioning, as opposed to here. It does not go up to here. In comes this SCV. SCV will be able to spot out this drone now starting to mine here. Zerglin's coming after this one SCV, as that SCV being forced to pull back. We do see one Overlord able to gain sight, and now a Reaper going to be trained out of this barracks, so that barracks may be able to throw down some pressure on Sen's hatchery. Back over here, we now see a Queen being transferred over to that location. That Queen making its way over will be able to get there just in time, as that hatchery will be completed and should have a significant amount of creep for that Queen to work with. Queen moves very, very slowly off of creep, almost twice, or like at least twice the speed of an Overlord without that movement upgrade though. Yeah, twice the speed there, as that Queen is now on the hatchery and should be able to start spawning larvae in just a moment. A Reaper, however, on this high ground, so maybe try to do a little bit of a dance back and forth and then try to jump back down over here and get into position. That Reaper will be able to two-shot any of these Zerglings. There's one shot, gonna go back. There's another Zergling down, as this Reaper now tries to make its way into the base. That Queen, however, gonna stay over by this hatchery, as another Queen continuing to just try to play a little bit of defense against this one Reaper falling back as a creep tumor has been laid down. Back over here, we do have Rush now trying to get up a factory. We'll get that up without a problem, and we'll see if he tries to go for Hellions or tries to go for air. Both options are viable, as we now have a Queen. Oh, Queen almost able to take down this one Reaper on that high ground, and now this Reaper trying to jump away will be able to get there. Overlord offering sight to that position there, as now we have two Reapers on this high ground. Will those Reapers be able to jump down, take down a unit, and then jump back up? In comes a Queen and a Roach. Down goes one Reaper, and that Reaper down at 21 hit points will not be able to survive all that well. One Overlord trying to fly away, trying to get away from that Marine. Will that Overlord be able to make it? I do not believe so. Down to 33 hit points already, down to 27. May cut it very, very close, down to 4 hit points, and all pop right on top of that cliff over here, as Reapers continue to just try to hug along that north position and try to deny this expansion over here. This expansion, however, will get fully saturated, as these Roaches are going to be able to do more and more. Back over here, we now have those Reapers coming in this position. However, an Overlord is already here scouting out these units, so we should see, yeah, some Roaches already in preparation to try to catch these Reapers as they come down, and those Reapers taking a lot of damage there, being forced to pull back once again. Those Reapers jumping down, quickly gonna get torn apart by these Roaches, and just horrible micro and horrible play coming in from Rush. Rush not doing that great of a job in this fight. Sen will, I believe, will just be able to take this game as he's been playing so much better so far from what I've seen. Back over here, we now see a factory throwing down a reactor as well, and we're going to get some Vikings. So Vikings going to start trying to pop some of these Overlords, and then may also try to transfer that reactor. We do see a Baneling Nest now coming into play, and now one Hellion quickly getting torn apart by that Queen, or getting taken down by that Queen. Factory now down over here. We should see this starport lifted off, drop back down, and trying to start training up double Vikings as well, or maybe even double medevacs. Front door now getting a bunker to act as a little bit of protection. One SCV still gaining sight on top of, or to gain sight on these Roaches over here, as Roaches now slowly make their way over here. One Viking, however, will be able to start Overlord hunting fairly easily as that Overlord moves very, very slowly. Viking now dealing 28 damage per round of attack, and down it goes. Back over here, we have some Marauders, and now training up a Viking once again. Perhaps going to get another Viking as Roach is now trying to take down this back door, and Zerglings on the front door. So on this front door, the supply depot is the critical point in this wall. This wall can get taken down fairly easily. We did see a Baneling Nest earlier, so Sen may try to go for some sort of Baneling rush. However, now we see an orbital command being lifted off and into this position here. However, those Reapers should really be trying to come to this Zelnaga watchtower and see what's happening with these destructible rocks. Viking now quickly spots that these rocks have been taken down, and that's going to be a very, very bad sign as these destructible rocks already partially completely destroyed by the hands of Rush. So Rush now in trouble and speeding up his own death. Will he be able to defend this off? I do not think so, as those Zerglings will be able to just straight run into this position and start dealing damage towards some of those SCVs. Vikings now not even going into that ground mode, really need to utilize this a little bit more, and in comes some more Roaches, and wow, Sen just going to simply swarm over this position here. Roaches out of position, siege tanks not in siege mode, unable to really deal any damage even towards these Zerglings. SCVs coming off the mineral line. But yeah, that's going to be game, and Rush quickly losing in 2 games and 2 Sen here on Kulas Ravine and on Metalopolis. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. A quick recap: Rush, I think, just wasn't playing that well in this particular matchup. It wasn't really that fair of a fight, and from what I saw, and Sen just took this game took these 2 games very, very easily. If I was in Rush's position, Rush, taking one Reaper to try to get sight of what your opponent is doing. Once he saw that there was a second hatchery down, he should have tried to make Sen pay for this hatchery. This early hatchery is very, very much exposed and easily taken down. On Kulas Ravine, there are such 2 wide choke points into this hatchery location that a Zerg player has a very, very difficult time even really trying to defend it. Anyways, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Sen and Rush.